I'm Sam Crowl, back with another Ping Bite, a little humanities moment from the Ping Institute for the Teaching of the Humanities at Ohio University. We have been talking about Shakespeare and the plague, and about how the plague affected both his life as he lived it in Stratford and in London, and then his plays, where, as I have said, in general, he didn't really address the plague in any major way in any of his plays, but it does play, as we've seen, a crucial role in Romeo and Juliet, particularly at the end. And I think of all his great major tragedies, it is an underlying presence, at least, in Hamlet. Hamlet is the most murky and mysterious of all of Shakespeare's great plays, and maybe that's why it's been so perpetually popular. That nobody finally minds all that murk and mystery. And it's not only contained in the way in which Shakespeare presents the country, what's going on in Elsinore and Denmark, but also, most significantly, the way in which he presents us with Hamlet. The play, as many of you know, opens with a question. It has more questions in it than any of Shakespeare's other plays. And one great critic once said that the play was cast in the interrogative mode, and I think he was right. So the play opens with a question, and soon the arrival of a ghost, trouble. And that trouble permeates the play, permeates the fabric of the society that we come to see unravel, permeates the political world of the play, and most particularly permeates the tragic hero. At the beginning of the play, Hamlet is well established. He is the only son and the only child of a heroic father who once defeated the King of Norway for disputed lands, and a mother that the son feels dotes on the father. And within 2 or 3 or 4 months, all that collapses. The father dies, the mother, Hamlet doesn't get the throne. He would have been in the line of succession, but he's off at school in Wittenberg, and as he says, Claudius slipped in between the election and my hopes. So he's lost the crown, and then his mother has married his uncle, so he's lost her too, or thinks he's lost her. So he is suddenly in trouble himself. He is suddenly a mystery rather than the sort of miracle boy prince. And he struggles with that. And he says at one point in the play, "O cursed spite," the time is out of joint, "O cursed spite that ever I was born to set it right." So he has been someone who has lived something of an ideal existence and suddenly faces quite its opposite. And the metaphors that Shakespeare uses as he begins to create this dynamic between the world that Claudius has created and the world of Claudius that Hamlet has to oppose is metaphors of disease. And that's what brings me to the plague analogy. And it also brings me to stop to think in a way that we don't, I think, when we say the word disease, that if we put a hyphen in there, it is dis-ease. And dis-ease is what is going on in Denmark. Dis-ease is what is going on in Hamlet's soul. And so disease becomes a potent metaphor that Shakespeare employs repeatedly in the play. And he makes it, interestingly, too, a sort of cat and mouse or cat and rat game, as Hamlet begins to try to pluck out Claudius's mystery, or try to reveal what he comes to know is true of Claudius, that he's a patricide and a regicide. But he does so by toying with Claudius, as a cat might with a mouse. And when he thinks he's killed Claudius, when he runs Polonius through, who's hiding behind the arras, the curtain, and Gertrude's bedroom, the first thing he says is, "A rat? Dead for a ducat, a rat." And so he is aware that Claudius in this great game is the rat that he is pursuing. In the next installment, because Hamlet deserves two parts, I will get into talking about the disease imagery in some detail and the way in which it sort of creates something like a plague-ridden world in Hamlet.